Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Network at Noon, your midweek resource rundown where we connect you with people, programs, and platforms that are helping small businesses thrive across Birmingham and beyond. Today, I'm honored to welcome a very special guest, Mr. Joseph Dees from the Jefferson County Commission. Joseph is not only well versed in local economic development, but he's also someone who has a true heart for helping small businesses grow. Today, he's here to talk about the Jefferson County Revolving Loan Fund, what it is, who it's for, and how it can be used. So, welcome, Joseph, to
Thank you,
Network.
Miss Jackson. How are you?
I am wonderful. And before we jump into the loan fund itself, can you just take a brief moment, introduce yourself, share a little bit about your background and your role with the commission?
Yeah, so I've been at Jefferson County for the last three and a half years. Prior to that, have over 20 years experience of financial services, specifically around financial planning and helping small businesses with financing. So I've worked at several banks. I've worked with micro lenders for 3 or 4 years. I've probably helped fund almost over 200 businesses get the funding that they needed. And so, my passion for this really comes from my dad's company. Right out of college, I worked for his company, and I saw firsthand what support and what access to capital could do, not only for his business, but we have to remember that as business owners, we're also helping fund their families as well. And so I'm extremely passionate about helping businesses and the owners of the businesses get the resources they need, because to be honest, we all want to win in business, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you got a little taste of entrepreneurship and you decided that thing is not for me.
Well, let me just say this. Sometimes in the world of small business, sometimes the business owner decides it's not for them. Sometimes the market conditions decide it's not for them. I do have a business, but the most important thing that I would say is there are so many businesses, great people that have business ideas, and I just want to help them where I can in the field and realm that I am, to help them get some practical tools that can help them, go to the next level or just grow. Because without, capital, I tell people oftentimes it's the oxygen, just like your oxygen, and you can go a while holding your breath, but not as far. And so I want to be able to provide people with not just the oxygen, but tell them where are the places to get the oxygen or the capital that they need, and how to help structure or give them strategies that will help them um, do whatever they're trying to do and take it to the next level.
Awesome, awesome. And there's definitely a need and a space for that in this ecosystem, especially in this current climate, politically, economically, knowing where to find those resources, those opportunities, that oxygen that you speak of is a grand necessity right now. So let's hop right into it. So let's talk a little bit about the Jefferson County Revolving Loan Fund, and the types of businesses it's designed to support, and just give us a quick overview of what this fund is.
Sure. So here's, believe it or not, this fund has been in Jefferson County for over 35 years. And so the county has been committed to supporting and giving good businesses that are looking to expand and create jobs in the county access to low interest loans, because the county recognizes that business owners or businesses are the job creators in our communities. And so by providing lower interest rate, and longer terms, what that does is it helps that small business have a monthly payment that's lower than maybe the traditional bank. And oftentimes we're helping a lot of businesses that can't get funding from, you know, your local financial institutions. And so We are funded through, the Community Development Block Grant as well as the Economic Development Administration. And so, as we lend this money out into the community, as they pay that back plus that interest, that goes back into the fund so that we can support and help the next set of businesses that are looking for an opportunity to gain access to capital.
Wonderful. So that speaks to that revolving piece. As they pay
That's
back,
right.
they're paying into the help that helped them. That
That
makes a
is
lot of
correct.
sense. Awesome.
That's
Awesome.
correct.
So, as far as what these funds can be used for, can you talk a little bit about what areas the fund does not cover, and what why it doesn't cover businesses located within the city of Birmingham proper specifically?
Yeah, so one of the things that makes this fund unique is that there is a geographic location that's tied to this. There's a couple of big things that we can't get around. One is the geographic location. So if you're located in Jefferson County, we can get you funding. But for example, if your business is located in Bessemer or the city of Birmingham, I've recently found out that this also extends to some of the businesses even located in the city of Hoover. And some of these reasons are statutory, meaning if the federal government is giving the city of Birmingham the same kinds of funds that I am receiving through the Community Development Block Grant, we can't double dip. And so it's kind of like a gentleman's agreement that if you're getting money from Birmingham, if your business is in Birmingham, you need to go reach out to your to the city of Birmingham about their loan fund. Same thing with the Bessemer and so on. But there are a tremendous amount of cities that that are that are located in Jefferson County. I don't care if you're Hueytown or Gardendale or Pleasant Grove or Vestavy, even mountain places like Mountain Brook, Graysville, Warrior, West Blockton, Brighton. I mean, there's almost 30 other communities or cities, even unincorporated Jefferson County. Like if you're in Birmingham, but it's unincorporated, like for example, the Forestdale areas, as well as unincorporated Bessemer. We can do loans, and so the real question is what the first two questions I'll ask any business is where is your business located? And then there's a job component that's there. But one thing about working with us is we don't want to say, hey, no, we can't help you. But if I know of another funding resource that can help you that you're not aware of, I'll try to refer potential loan applicants somewhere else if I can't personally, fund their particular business.
And that's much appreciated, I'm sure, for our entrepreneurs, because quite often they go to these resources and they're seeking funding, but when they're turned away, they're not given any context around being why they were turned away, or any redirection as to where they can go and possibly get help, or how they can correct what they did wrong to get to where they need to be to get the resources that you offer. So it's appreciated to have a partner like you in this that's going to help them redirect them, as well as kind of give them some background and some context around what may have happened or why this is not working for them. So another thing I know that we discussed when we originally talked is we talked about that these funds are not everlasting. So once they're gone, that we have to wait until the next time that this happens. So kind of talk a little bit about once it's gone, it's gone.
So here's the thing. I spend all the money that I possibly can as quickly as I possibly can, but every month, our businesses are paying us back, and that allows us to relend those funds. But depending on the loan size or the loan amount, we may need to wait a little while. And so here's what I would say. I, the issue may not be, hey, I may run out of funds. I would love for that to be the problem, that I have found all of these businesses, I've helped as many as I could, and now we need to wait. I think the broader issue is that I would like to communicate is we are an amazing resource. but there are other amazing resources within our ecosystem that can help you get to financing. Uh, a more succinct way to say it is there's funding out here for your business. Let us help you. I tried, I've worked at banks, and bankers get a tough rap. And I have been on both sides of that equation, but we have to understand that bankers have so many clients or so many people that are ready for the loan, are ready. They have their application. They have to focus on their attention on those that are ready. And so sometimes, yes, we have to turn down people quickly, but because I work for the county, I try to spend a little extra time with our clients that may be ready or not ready, or they're not eligible, to say, hey, look, here's what you need to do. Here's how I can help you, give you some advice. Because oftentimes we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
And who has to, and although I don't have unlimited amounts of time, but when I'm sitting with that client, or when I'm talking with them or taking their application or reviewing their financial documents, I say, look, these are the issues that I see. You may want to go get those resolved, or you may want to go speak with, certain types of resources, because it's not just getting them alone is not the most important thing. It's making sure that they have the information they need so that they're building a successful business. Oftentimes, I've helped so many people, get the loan, quote unquote, but then a few months later, a year later, that loan that was such a quote blessing in the beginning became, unfortunate things happened and they weren't able to pay it back. And so it's again, getting a loan is important, but making sure your business is structured and has the right strategy so that you can be successful, not just paying the loan back, so that you can do the things that you were. The reason why you started the business was to serve a need, to fix a problem, and it was a passion of yours. And it's tough to do when you can't get the capital that you need, or your business isn't at a place to where you can pay back the loans.
Absolutely. And those foundational pieces, when it comes to the utilization of capital, once you receive it, how to maintain it and make sure that you get everything out of it that you can, are so necessary in this process that a lot of people overlook. Sometimes people are in this process of needing capital and they get to the point where they need it so badly that once they get it, all of the senses around it go out the window. So having that partner in you, Joseph, is so important to kind of help them stay focused on how to make sure they're utilizing this capital properly and make sure that they are taking care of their end of the bargain when they are signing this paperwork on receiving these funds. So moving on a little bit to talk about, are there specific types of expenses or growth opportunities that these funds can be used for? Or is it just they get these funds and they just use it in their business any way that they need?
So, yes and no, I guess would be the quick answer. So we can fund almost any legitimate business use. Things that I have seen recently, maybe, for example, if you want to buy a building. So I've recently assisted a local daycare to purchase a church to convert it into a daycare to expand their business. Right, that would be buying a piece of commercial or acquiring a piece of personal property. I've also helped a food truck or a restaurant that was actually in a local mall. They wanted to expand. They realized, hey, after COVID, that they wanted to be more mobile. So they got a food truck. They're expanding their business now from a brick and mortar to a mobile. So that's another example. They can use it for working capital. So working capital is one of those terms that people don't really understand, but that's mostly, sometimes we need additional capital in your business while you're waiting for your customers to get paid, or there's seasonality in your business, and sometimes in the beginning of the year or the end of the year you have explosive growth, but you can't fund that growth because the bills become due before you can get the money back. So that money is turning faster than 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 you can pay everything off. And so sometimes people need a business. Think of it like this: a cushion or an emergency fund for your business that will allow you to do that. You need money. You would love to hire some employees, but you don't have that money up front. And so if you had that money set aside, you would be ready to hire maybe one or two or three people to take some of that workload off of that business or that business owner. So working capital, increase your cash flow to buy a piece of equipment, is another reason. And so most business purposes, I can probably find a way to help that business, help the business funded. But again, we're always going to be looking at two things: where's that business located, and what are the number of jobs that your business can create or expand upon once you're getting this additional capital. I'm really flexible than maybe a lot of traditional financial institutions. And so I originate and I underwrite the loans in such a way so that it makes sense both for the business owner as well as the county, because we want a win-win situation for both of us. The last thing the business needs the capital, but the last thing we want to do is shutting a business down because of a lack of payment. And so we are looking for existing profitable businesses that are looking to expand. And I will tell you this, Ms. Jackson, we do also provide funding for nonprofits and startup businesses as well, which makes us a little bit unique. The criteria are a little bit different because we want to make sure not only can the business or nonprofit pay us back, but in the event that they have slow times, that the owner or the personal guarantor is able to service the loan in the event that the nonprofit or the startup business cannot.
So when we're looking at, and that's such a great point. I'm so glad that you pointed that out, especially about these startup businesses, because it's very hard to find startup funding.
Sure.
Very, very hard to find startup funding. It exists, but it's rare.
Yes,
And so
yes, yes.
understanding that, especially in that capacity, that it's going to be more dependent upon the credit health or the ability of the personal guarantor and not the business, because this is a startup business. As long as there are signs there that they can maintain that if something were to happen.
Sure. And so to take a step back, we want to make sure that the owner's personal financial foundation is equally strong as well as the business. Because look, we've all had businesses or side hustles or hobbies, and when you have a hobby, you'll take a little bit of your 9 to 5 money in order to fund that. But oftentimes when your business is your 9 to 5, we want to make sure that the business can pay us back. And if the business can't pay us back, that the owner is generating enough income themselves to service that debt, which leads us to another technical piece, so that if the business can't pay us back and the owner can't pay us back, that we have something, we can secure it with some form of collateral. And again, we hope that we pray that the business never has to get to that point. But just like any other financial institution, we have to secure our investment, because again, for every loan that we can't collect on, that's another business that we won't be able to lend those funds to.
Absolutely. Understood. So there may be some piece of equipment, some piece of property that can be used as collateral in those instances as well.
Yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So down to the fun part, right? Understanding what ranges do these loans fall in, interest rates. We've heard a little bit about the repayment expectations. Give us kind of some lengths of the loan terms. Just kind of give us some of the nitty gritty of what these funds look like. I know the ranges, but some of our people may not. So if you want
Yeah.
to,
So here's some just real quick facts. As far as the loan size, on the small end, roughly $35,000 to up to $350,000. So that's a pretty broad range. After that, we also can participate with other lenders, other financial institutions like banks. We've even participated with the SBA with some of their lending programs to leverage our funds in order to help the business owner again have access to this cheaper cheaper interest rate and the lower terms. The terms can go from anywhere from 10 years to 25 years. Our current interest rate, which is probably what I'm most excited about, is to let your listening audience know that the businesses that are eligible, they can get an interest rate of 4.5%. So think about that. What could your business do with additional money up to $350,000 at a 4.5% interest rate, and you had almost over 25 years to pay that back? Now, I understand every business does not need that amount of money, but when I know that some banks are charging 10 to 12% and higher for the same amount of money that I'm able to provide, the county is able to provide at 4.5%. That is significant savings to the monthly cash flow, to the monthly to those businesses. And so I'm super excited, and I'm proud of what the counties support in order to help the businesses in our community to do that. Other things that we need to know, just in general, I told you about the job creation piece, as well as the terms. Or look, the bottom line is, I love to talk to your people, even if they're just interested in learning about the loans, because we need to talk through some of the important financial documents that are required. For example, the business plan or their tax returns, or what are they going to use for collateral. One of the big pieces I try to stress to people is, hey, we need to review not only the personal financial statement of the owner of the business, but also the balance sheet or the personal financial statement of the business, as well as other financial statements like the income statement. We also want to look at the budget of the business owner, as well as the profit and loss statements of the business. And so we look at all of these documents, put them together, and your numbers tell a financial story. And oftentimes it's we can change one or two things that some banks or some financial institutions may be able to say no to. I can work with that business owner to provide them, not only the funding, but the guidance or the how to's or the strategy that can help them get one step closer to the financing that they need.
The hand holding and care that happens here with this particular type of funding is so essential and needed, because a lot of times, again, going back to a statement that we talked about earlier, people apply, they're denied, and they don't know why. They don't know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happened. They don't know what they could do better, what they need to improve, where they need to go next, or what they need to change in order to be qualified and to get there. So this is so phenomenal. Such a great asset for you to have you and the county involved in this process. So speaking to a little bit more about the comment you made about, even if they're just interested in learning more, you'd like to talk to them more about the documents that are needed and how they need to be prepared to apply. So talk to us a little bit more about, you've told us a little bit about your background in banking and your experience in helping to run your dad's business and everything. What kind of support outside of just lending them these funds can you personally provide to some of these business owners?
So support looks like all kind. Um, it ranges. So let's think of it this way. Um, we try to provide from the time that someone says, "Hey, I might be interested." Um, in getting a loan, uh, that initial phone call, like that's where my support begins, all the way through the process, even after the loan closes, because even after the loan closes, we have to inquire about the ongoing success of the business to make sure payments are made. So a couple of things. One, the technical assistance on the front end, or how I help on the front end, is from an education perspective, to say, hey, look, this is what we need. This is why we need it. And then once they are able to provide, I say, hey, look, this is what your numbers are saying. So think of it like a report card. Yes, gathering the documents is like taking the test. And then I can say, look, this is how you're scoring. This is what a lender is looking at. Here are some things that you may want to look at. and again, I try when I first started, I want to approve everyone, but
Yeah.
that's not practical. But
Yeah.
more importantly, I want to give people a practical action steps of things they can do right now so that they can put themselves in a better position to qualify for the loans. Again, the money is here, it's available, and I'm available, and all we have to do is make sure that you qualify and the money, and that you can repay, and the money is yours. So this is not like a grant where, hey, you can turn in everything and you can still not get it. But this is something that if you meet the requirements and you get the necessary approvals, this could be, a game changer for your business.
Awesome, awesome. This has all been so awesome. Just from understanding the care and the steps that it's going to take to get to the funding. You're not just, here's an application, give us this paperwork, approved or denied. Like there is a process and a hand holding and an understanding of what you're getting yourself into, an understanding of what our expectations are of you once you get these funds, and you're not out here alone. Let's walk through this
That's
together.
right.
You have a partner
That's
in
right.
this.
That's
So
right.
if someone's watching and now or the replay, what would be their next steps if they are interested in getting funded with the county? Do they need to
So
email you? How do they need to move?
there's a couple, like, I make this super simple. For the last 20 years, I start off with a phone call. You can call me at 205-567-4078. Again, 205-567-4078. Or my email address is D as in dog, E as in elephant, E as in elephant, S as in Sam, J as in Jolly, at jccal.org. And so whether it's email or whether it's phone call, let's start the conversation, to see what we can do to help you get the capital that you need, or how can we help you position your business to take the next step forward to getting the necessary funding.
Awesome. This has been great, Joseph. Thank you so much for joining me today. All of this information has been so helpful to me, and I know not only to me, but to our listening audience. So thank you so much for breaking that down for us. It's important that business owners understand not just what's available, but where it's available, and
That's right.
understanding that, it's frustrating when you keep showing up somewhere for something and they're like, we can't help you, we don't have it, and just understanding how they can take advantage of this resource for their particular area or location in town. So if you're watching and you serve or live outside of the city of Birmingham proper, or outside of the city of Bessemer proper, because unincorporated Birmingham and unincorporated Bessemer have the possibility to apply for these funds, this revolving loan fund may be exactly what you need to push your business forward. And as always, we'll include Mr. Dees' phone number and his email in the comments on the Network Navigator platform. But until next time, keep building, keep navigating, and we'll see you Wednesday at noon. Bye.
Thank you so much. You'll have a wonderful day.